Everyone. It's crazy times for the development sector. Everyone is cutting budgets, and of course, the biggest shock was the effective shutdown of USAID. One thing that this is opening our eyes to is the immense risk of losing all the expert and institutional knowledge that has been built for decades. And that's not only about USAID, but really looking at all of the unused development knowledge out there. And it's a huge risk not to do something with it because essentially this knowledge serves the public good. And so we at Propel, we were thinking, what can we do to help out, and how can we use our platform that we're working on to do our part? So usually Propel is of course set up, as the organizational memory within organizations. But now we were thinking about, hey, how can we open this up to use Propel as a space, as a public space around key topics that are relevant for us all in the development and humanitarian sector. I briefly introduced the concept in a post a couple of days ago, and now I want to give a more detailed tour of how it works. So let's just jump in and let me give you a tour of how this looks like in Propel. So Propel is actually a space, a platform where organizations can capture what they're learning in projects, and then Propel helps to categorize and organize this knowledge so that you can explore, for example, by topic, what have we learned, what do we know, and what can we do with this knowledge going forward. So now we're doing this, applying it to key topics in the development space and looking for public knowledge that is out there that we can feed into this. And we're calling this the developing story, as this is something that we also want to grow and continue feeding to. And so I'm now in my landing page, my dashboard. That's the first page that you see when entering Propel, which gives me an overview of the space. Here you can see the developing story. And then what we've done is that we added key topics that are relevant for the sector. And then you can, there capture knowledge and then afterwards explore this knowledge and see, what we can build on. So let me take you through this step by step. We're now here in the developing story where you can see a couple of key topics that we have gathered. So you can see, for example, financing global cooperation, humanitarian assistance and crisis response, and so on. Of course, these are topics, that we can continue to add to. And I want to show you this with one example now. Let's, for example, take humanitarian assistance and crisis response. So if I go here, it will open the separate space where you can then see first a description of what this topic is about. You can see a couple of tags here already, which help us afterwards to organize this knowledge better. So let's actually go to the project and see what you can find here. So now we're in the learning overview for this topic space. So here, what we've built is basically mapping out a learning agenda with key questions and topics that are relevant to capture knowledge around. So you can, for example, find effectiveness of humanitarian aid modalities, coordination and implementation challenges, and so on. Of course, these are also, again, questions that we can continue to add to, but this is our starting point. And we started to gather, public documents, reports, evaluations that are out there that we could start feeding into the space. So let me show you an example. For example, here for coordination and implementation challenges, that's one of the topics in this. You can find the sub-question of what approaches have improved coordination between humanitarian actors, donors, and government in crisis response. That's now one of the key learning questions that we want to capture knowledge around. And so then you can see, some subtags, what this is related to. And then below you can find the first learnings that are captured. So this was, of course, an entry made by me because I looked for an evaluation and then fed this the findings from that into Propel. So if I open this, what you can see here is then an overview of key findings. And then you can see actually in green the successes, so what has been found to work well. Here you can then in red see challenges that have been found, and then below in purple you can see recommendations and learnings. So the idea here is that we continue to do this, for all sorts of reports, expert knowledge that we can find out there and add it to the space. And grow basically here the learning log of what we know relating to this question. You can then, as this grows, also always, ask Propel to make a summary for you where we actually have an AI integration that helps you to synthesize all of the entries here for this question, so that you can, in one overview, really quickly see, okay, what have we learned? What are the findings relating to this learning question? And so we are doing this around all of these key topics that we've added so far to gather the things that we're finding out there. And then we actually also make it possible for all of this knowledge from across all of these key topics to come together. And so for that, we have a shared knowledge map where all these key learnings come together in one space. So here in the shared knowledge map, I can then explore by topics. So for example, I can look at, okay, what do we know about gender equality and inclusion related to climate action and resilience? And then you can see all of the key learnings from these topic pages that I showed you to come together and how they're related also. So then you can from here explore what are the learnings. So you can click on, for example, specific learnings, and then you can see, okay, what was learned here, where did this come from, and what learning action or question is it related to. Or you can also go by topic that you want to say, okay, what do we know about gender equality and inclusion? And then you can see all of the learnings from across all of the key topics coming together here. And you can either scroll through them, or you can also ask our AI to make a summary for you on the topic, so that you can then get an overview from across all of the topic pages, all of the key learnings, what do we know. And so in the summary, you can then see an overview of this key summary. You can see the key insights and learnings. You can see successes that were found and challenges, but also recommendations and actions. So the idea here is really to give you an overview of knowledge that is out there, to make it publicly available, synthesize it, and then usable for others, so that you can go in there, explore it, build on it, take it for your own work. And so this is really here an invitation, actually, that we want to make the space publicly available, so that you can join in, you can explore the space, you can use the knowledge, and of course also really an invitation to contribute, right? If you have reports that are out there, or you have expert knowledge of your own experiences that you think should be captured somewhere, then this is what we want to invite you to do. So in the next slide, I'll add a link and a QR code that you can just go to sign up, so that we can add you to the space. You will then receive an invitation. You can enter the topic spaces and also explore this knowledge map. And of course, an invitation, to share any knowledge that we can add here with us, to really make this a dynamic space that starts to collect key development knowledge out there. And of course, it's a growing project. So this is, again, just the start, and we will continue to feed into this, and then also want to produce digest and things that we can share of what are key lessons that have recently come up that are interesting to share. So yeah, it's really kind of our trial to see what we can do to counteract what is happening, and to use our tool for everyone out there for good, and an invitation to really do this together.